Good morning, everyone. Welcome today to our Spiritist talk. My name is Juliana. I'm one of the volunteers for the Spiritist Society of Ireland, and I'll be talking about Spiritism, a tool for self-development. So, just before we start, I would like to do our initial prayer. If you all sit comfortably, and let's close our eyes, elevate our thoughts, connect to a spiritual world. Let's gonna feel this blessing that our guardian angels, our spiritual mentors that are connected to us is giving to us. Let's feel this healing. I'd like to thank the spiritual guardians of this group for here today. Ask permission to God to this speech today. May their wise words be spoken here. I'd like to thank everyone for being here with us. And so be it. Okay, so let's get to our speech today. So today I'm going to talk a little bit more Spiritism, more as a tool for self-development. And when we say about self-development, we talk about our spiritual development, through our reincarnations, our development of being better version of ourselves, and how Spiritism can help on that as well, or a little bit more how we should be doing, we can do it, So first I'm going to start with this part of the passage of the Bible about our spiritual development. No one sews a patch of unshrink cloth on an old garment, for the patch will pull away from the garment, making tear worse. Neither do people pour new wine into old wineskins. If they do, the skins will burst, the wine will run out, and the wineskins will be ruined. No, they pour new wine into new wineskins, and both are preserved. What's it's very profound, and as usual in the Bible we see a lot of in parables, in because that's the way people at that time could understand on the day-to-day lives, examples of their lives, how they store wine, or how they fix the clothes and everything. But it's very profound, and the gospel, to be fully understood and experienced, requires a break of old behavior patterns. And when I say the gospel is the Jesus teachings, that's in the Spiritism we focus on Jesus teachings. So to actually be able to be fully experienced, understood, and experienced, it requires a break of our old behavior patterns assimilated over the reincarnations and experience, represented by the old garment, old wineskins, So who wants implement change of behavior, which means, our spiritual development, our, better version of ourselves. So if you want to implement this, prioritizing our own development, our own spiritual progress, we should be aware that the precise transformation under new foundations. And we have to leave, the old. We have to work on the old habits. We have to be aware of them. Our old habits, that it's our acts of selfishness that ends up in being bad choices and everything. So we have to actually lay new foundations. One of the things is it's through education, educating. So it's through education that generations are transformed and perfected. For a new society, new men are needed. It's always like this, and that's why we reincarnate as well. That's the main reason. We reincarnate because, we need to work our passions, our passions. When I say passions, I say more in our acts of selfishness. And because we are all selfish, we all have moments of selfishness, we all have, and sometimes it's even for our own protection, but we need to work a little bit more on that, on ourselves, uh, so we can get, we can be a better version of ourselves. And it's something I find really, really, really important. Education. And so let's gonna take like education, like let's gonna take this objective here, or this point of view. Development, improvement of human being in all aspects of life. Let's gonna take education as this objective. It's development, improvement of human being in all aspects of life. We have our formal education, which instructions received during school, college years, intellectual knowledge. And that is really important, But it's lacking a little bit of a spiritual education as well, educating our passions, our moral values. It's our moral transformation and efforts employed in order to dominate our own imperfections, our own wrongdoings that we have done. We know we came from many reincarnations, and definitely if you are here on earth at this time, that doesn't mean you have done good things in the past. For all of us, and the blessing of forgetting that one, it's like it's a way that we have to work our heart. If we remember everything's kind of we're cheating, because we use our reasoning to, oh, I'm not gonna do this because no, last reincarnation done that. Now we have to know why I have done that, what feelings did I have to, and that's the feelings that I have to work on, not our reason. So again, um, so that's it's just one aspect, of the education. I'm gonna talk. I'm gonna get a little bit more uh, near here to the spiritual education. How spiritual education would be great if we had our formal education. Also not intellectual knowledge, but also forming a human being, morals. And here I'm not talking religious, because we have been religion. It's different. It's more a transformation of your behavior, you know, to deal with our imperfections, to get that. If school had this one, we would have a little bit more better beings. We would have a better world. But we are on that path. School nowadays is much better than was in my time. That was much better than was my parents' time. So we're getting there, but it's always slow. It's always a process. Nothing is like instant. Our mind, our mind is instant, but everything else in it needs your time. So, and talking about education, I was going to talk about the triple aspect of the spiritism. We in the spiritism we say we have science, philosophy, and religion all together. We don't separate them. Science, uh, we prove, we're gonna prove science the what we call unnatural or supernatural, you know. We have philosophy to actually, reason and make sense of that, and religion, which is love. We talk about love. So important in spiritualism and education is, whoever is keen on science cultivates in its dignity. Whoever is devoted to philosophy that magnifies his postulates, and whoever consecrates himself to religion that divinizes his aspiration. But the Kardec base remains based in everything, remains everything in everyone. And when we say Kardec, we're not saying like, yeah, wow, another Messiah or something. No, he was just a professor that actually, you know, developed this scientific method of asking questions during mediumships meetings. And when the questions they were the same, they would put together. So it's more scientific study, you know, of the things on life, explaining why this happened, why we come from, where we come from, where we go, things, questions of life that we always have, you know. And it's really interesting because, uh, here when we say, if you can, science cultivates with dignity, magnifies the postulates, and divinize aspirations, we say here we have like having a reasonable faith, not a blind faith, because when in any religion or any philosophy or any thing, even in science, you need to be this, you have to have this reason of faith, to not blind yourself, to not go to fanaticism, because we live in, well, we always been now, we just being aware now that what we know, what fanaticism takes, to the extremism and everything. So that's really important. Why this should be spiritual development? Because you have to be careful, you know, yourself. You always need to keep true to what is being written, to what you're reading, having this reason of thinking, because otherwise you're gonna go to the blind side of believing, and this leads you to fanaticism, believing. And people who believe, or fanaticism, they tend to go to extremism, and a lot of things we're seeing today, bad things, selfishness acts, it's being led by fanaticism in religion, in philosophy, in science. So we need to stick to the truth, and it's really hard because sometimes we live in a world now of fake news. You know, everything, we are bombarded with lots of information. Memes, information, just a line, a headline. We don't even get to read. Exactly a full, content of a news or, an article or something. So we are very superficial, and that's we have to be careful of, because, for example, fake news talks, you don't reason with the fake news. It touches that part, your heart, what you think, what you believe, but it's your heart. It's not your reasoning. So that's why we need to, we follow Spiritism or every any other religion, but we need to be true, to stick to the truth. No, not to blindly believe that everything. And this is uh, help for self-development, because if you are aware, they know I've been receiving from my social media news that it's related to what I like, I share, I compare what I believe. you know we are being made, how can I say, as always, marketing, broadcast, TV always have done this, forming bubbles of consumers. We're still being consumers of the fake news. So if we are aware of that, we always stop and reason, wait, why this is being, and why did I believe on this? Why do I agree with that? What feelings, it's really a great tool for you to reveal yourselves and see why, that that one's gonna be showing to you, you know, because there's a reason. That's algorithm. Don't need to blame. This is not like something like, oh, it's the devil or thing. No, don't go that way. That's fanaticism. Again, we go back. We know there's algorithm, and the algorithm only sees what we like, share, compare, and see a pattern there. We do have a pattern, like we have our feelings and we express this. So when you are aware that what you're seeing on your social media, if it's advertised, if someone's share things or something, think about what what feelings do you get with that and why do you get that feeling. This is itself already uh, something, it's reviewing your own passions, because this news touches you on the heart, on your feelings, not on your reason, but then use the reason to actually, yes, okay, do that every time you're going to, we have to do that. I have to do that as well. Every time we share something, wait, what I'm sharing, why I'm sharing, what feelings did I get, and why do you think this is worth sharing? Anyway, uh, but back to the spiritual development and education. So I want you to talk about the triple aspects because we need to stick to the truth and have this reasoned faith. We believe, but we don't believe blindly just because say so. There is a reason. There is, a way. We might not understand at that moment because you know, our development here on Earth, it's not the same as probably other places that are much developed. So our understanding, we are on the moment, again, planetary transition, that we are discovering much more and we are opening more our minds. So this is the moment for us to actually invest in our self-development, our spiritual development, in our own education. As I said, education, not intellectual education, but our moral education. And when I say moral education, don't say like religious or sins, guilty. No. What I mean moral education is the education of our passions, our selfish passions. We have been um, sometimes, there's things we envy, we have possession, this is mine, no one can touch it. We do this. Come on, we are human beings. We are not perfect. We're here on earth to become perfect. But we still need a long path to get there. So we are on the way. So when I talk about more education, is this education that you train your own passions, and not more education for books, because that's easy, and we see a lot of fundamentalists, showing the Bible, Quran, or Torah, or anything, and this is written here, and this, and and you feel that's only from the books, and that's why the spiritual transformation is should be made in you, because it's not what you say, it's how you act, and how you act, it's important. It's much more important than whatever you say. You can say, we can say we are the best ones. I do this, I do that, but are we really looking deep into ourselves and saying and being true? Are we really doing what we say? And the answer for everyone's gonna be no. For everyone, we are, and that's fine. That's the first part of being aware of this, because when that feeling that you already identified, this is not good, I don't want this, when it comes again, you'll be able to identify, and then, oh, wait, flag here, alarm here. Not what this is not what I want to, this is the initial for, and Spiritism brings you, because Spiritism invites you to actually look into yourself. Don't worry about what the others are saying about you, about what they do. Is their path to develop. In this way, Spiritism is very individualist in this way only, because it says it's up to you to get better version of yourself. The other ones around you are tools that will help you sometimes for suffering. Yes, unfortunately, we're still living in a place where suffering and selfishness is still prevail. So we have to suffer to learn. Yes, unfortunately. Of course, not minimizing the suffering of every human being. You know, the consequences is always the same. Why there's so many suffering in the world? Because we are selfish. It's because of us. So, and again, when we talk about more education through books, the books helps you to give you intellectual knowledge, to be aware, to know, to to train intellect. But the books are not train your passions. It's only yourself, only us. It's me, myself, and God that will be able to actually, become a better version of myself. So when we say moral, it's the moral education that consists in the art of forming character. Moral education that creates habits, because education is the sum of acquired habits, and we can have, good habits, bad habits, but we need to, let prevail the good habits, the habits that doesn't have selfishness on it. That's a very simple, really difficult thing, because it's easy for us to lie to ourselves. It's much easier. It's much, it's an easy path. But that's cheating. We need to look inside us and analyze. We all have selfishness acts, and it's small ones, sometimes big ones, and we all have done bad choices. So that's just one part. We are aware of that. Now, how I'm going to overcome this, that's anyway. But when we are able to overcome this, we spiritual development, we evolve spiritually, morally, because we became less selfish. When we are able to talk our acts of selfishness, our passions, we become. So Allan Kardec in the Spirit spoke, said, what signs indicates the accomplishment of progress that will raise amongst the spirit in the spiritual hierarchy? So in Spiritism, we have hierarchies, but it's just more to explain. We have spirits that are not developed enough. They are much more attached to matter. So it's the spirits that love the pleasures of the earth, for example. We have spirits developing. We are, developing from this path to be perfect, where you completely selfless. I think, our example on earth of a perfect spirit was Jesus Christ. So that's why we follow the teachings of Jesus Christ. That's one of the reasons we in the Bible we follow more Jesus teachings than everything else. Not just worth the Bible, because it's an incredible book, and historically speaking, religious speaking, philosophically speaking, it's really good. So not just only, but that's if we focus on what's it's important, it's our spiritual development, our own development, becoming better beings. So he asks, what signs indicate accomplishment of progress that will raise a man's spirit in the spiritual hierarchy? The spirit demonstrates his elevation when every action of his earthly life represents a practice of the law of God, and when he understands in advance the spirit life. Now, the laws of God, they're laws that God put in place to govern the universe, everything. So it's not just here on earth; it's everywhere. And those laws, they are, we have the Ten Commandments, which at that time it was necessary to be that difficult. But we're talking a little bit more than that. We're talking a little bit more profound and more complex than that. They're not just simple things. That was more for men living on earth. But those laws, and it's the part 3 of the Spirit's book they talk about here. This is part of the moral perfection, one of the chapters of the moral laws, and the God's law. So, and the reason it has place is how it maintains itself, how universe maintains itself. So if you're breaking those laws, you're gonna have consequences for everyone everywhere around you, because we're all connected. Quantum physics already proven that to us, but uh, we're all connected. So that's why. And when we break those laws, we need to deal with the consequence. So there's no punishment. It's consequences of us breaking the law. And why we break the law? Because we have acts of selfishness. We act in selfishness. So a person that the spirit demonstrates his elevation when every action of earthly represents the practice of the God of the laws God. Uh, laws of the God. Sorry about that. And when he understands the spiritual life. Now, the spiritual life, when understand, it's about eternity. Our spirits is eternal. And let's gonna go outside the box here. When we understand our lives only, through our flesh and bones, we are only limited to that. So when we believe, we are spirit, we made eternal, then we kind of jump a little bit outside the box and see the bigger picture. If we only see flesh and blood, we see this reincarnation. The spiritual life, we see thousands of reincarnations we have been through, probably, maybe, don't know, and how many other thousands we have had, because there is no short path to spiritual development. There is no cheating. You're not gonna be able to cheat. We're gonna try. We're gonna try doing that, but we always will have to go back. And that's we have reincarnation. It's like sometimes we do really, really bad things, and we need to come back and fix it because all the bad things had consequences to other people around us. And we want to go back to try and fix it, because in the same way it's painful for that person, it's painful for us as well. So, and this is all part, this much more bigger picture that you're eternal, spiritual, and you go through incarnations to get better, better, and better to develop. It's as less selfish you are, more developed you are. More spiritual development you are. So that's important. So perfect spirits will be completely selfless, which we are far away. Believe me, we are far away. But then, how do we do that? And then of course Allan Kardec asks, what's the most effectual means of improving ourselves in this life and resisting the pull of evil? Pull of evil is a pull of selfishness. And then the answer is simple. A sage of integrity has told you, know thyself. So Socrates, it was a philosopher that understood a lot more of the spiritual concept, so And he understood that you need to know yourself. We need to know ourselves. We need to go on that dark side that we don't want to. Therapy is very good. So if you, you want our advice to go through, it's very good because we need to not only be aware, but we need to know that we have there. Because only that we're going to be able to transform ourselves, identify, oh, wait, this is my dark side acting here. Let me try and do something different. I'm not going to go to the next. It's just like knowing history. We need to know history to not commit the same mistakes. We need to know ourselves, our passions, our inside, so we don't make the same mistakes we did in past lives. That's the reason. That's the main simple reason. And that's part of knowing yourself. That's your self-development path, your spiritual development path. Anyway, so once we get to know, we just throwing some concepts here, which for spiritual development, we have to understand that we are a student in a spirit reincarnated. So the student is a spirit reincarnated. Sorry. So we are a student on this life and on the past life, on the next life, because we are a spirit reincarnated. So our school is the life, and our tests are all the actions we do in selfishness way, not selfish way, And our tests is we get A plus when we act with not selfish. But we get C minus, D minus, I don't know, when we act in a selfish way. And this is gonna count, A, B, C, D, that everything. And at the end, for reincarnation, you're gonna maybe, yeah, I was able to do this, but I failed that, or no, it's always a reveal. You go to a spiritual realm after your discarnate, you die, you go to the spirit realm. At that point, you're going to, reveal and say, yeah, actually, I've done a lot more bad than I should, and then we're gonna go, and that's it. Could take a long time. Plan the next reincarnation to actually work on that. So we are a student, we are a student until we get A plus in everything. It's gonna take a long way. So it's many, many, many incarnations. So let's gonna breathe, relax, and keep swimming. That's all we can do. We don't need to rush because there's no shortcuts. There's no cheating. We will try, but it's not going to help. So that's how we understand. So we are a student because we're spirit reincarnating to work on our passions, our selfishness. Every spirit is created by God and possesses natural potentialities. So it's like we are created by God as a natural. And we have a natural potential, our instincts, our way. When we see, every spirit is created. When we talk about a little bit more evolution of the spirit, we see, and all the different ranges we have. For example, here on Earth, we see we've go evolving from, many forms until a human being, but that's another part. So what we are created as just pure, but not pure in passions. We you know experience, we live, it goes, passions and everything. So we know it's created by God and possesses natural ability. The formation of moral habits must prevail over the intellectual instruction, and that's where I see, it's really important. It's really important intellectual instruction, what you go for the college, school, college, and everything. But if this were much more combined with the moral habits, and again, we don't say here moral habits, as a religious sin's guilt. No, it's your, formation of being less selfish. That's very, very, very root based, because I don't want to get to specify anything because it's really different from everyone, and it's unique for everyone. So, but when you talk the moral habits, it's our acts of selfishness, you know, and formation of acts of less selfish or selfless, it should prevail, not because it's more important, but because it's a complement. You know, it's a complement, and we need this. If a school had much more, and don't get me wrong, schools are getting good in a good job. They are much better than they were on my time and my parents' time and my grandparents' time. So we're getting there. But we had already, philosophers coming and talking about. We had Pestalozzi, we had Montessori talking about how to bring love, how to bring, love to the our own education instructions. We have Finland, being one of the, the countries that has the best school system, the school education, because they actually change a lot in this. They don't focus on intellectual instructions. They focus as well on the well-being, bringing love, bringing. So we do have a lot of, and then we're gonna get there. Don't worry. For now, it's like this. We are on the moments of transformation. Lots of things gonna happen. So, but to understand, our our path for spiritual education has to go through education of our, feelings and our morals. And reincarnation is the divine pedagogical tool. Reincarnation is the tool for us to get better. We get better every time, little time. In one reincarnation, I killed 10. In this one, I killed 9. Now I'm getting a little bit better. Just joking, but it's only, not that in one reincarnation you do really bad and then you're going to be really good. No, you can just, it's small steps, just like in nature. Everything goes slow, everything is on a much different level. We have to be patient. So that's a good as well for our anxiety. You don't need to be worried about, oh, I'm not a good person, I'm not a good person. No, I'm not as good as I can be, and I will be. And I have my own time to do that. So, and when we realize that, again, go outside the box. We are eternal beings. Reincarnation is just a tool, one of the tools we have to get better themselves. People around us are good too as well. Living society, families, communities, society. This all helps us. Love, the greatest feeling, commands the education of the spirit. So when we say love about the unconditional love. It's not love you feel for someone else or, a passion or something. It's the unconditional love that you give all yourself and you don't expect nothing. I know it's hard. Don't worry. We are not there yet, to be completely. Maybe with my kids, yeah, because I do give a lot of myself and I don't expect, maybe. But we are far away. But that doesn't mean we're not gonna get there. We are on our way, and we're gonna get there. And this is the spiritual development. When we are on our way. It's a process, sometimes cyclic. We're gonna repeat over and over again until you finally realize that's not the right way. You're gonna have to do different and everything. But again, it's always on the way of building a better version of ourselves. It's a transformation, it's a process, and it's gonna take eternity. We have better. We have eternity to actually deal with all this. So, and when we get there, or when we are on the way getting there better, you know. It's going to take still a long time for us to get there. And when I say get there, to be a perfect spirit, we still a lot imperfect, but you know, it's a virtuous person. So I'm going to read this, the characteristic of virtual persons based on the question 941. 941, it talks, the part 4 of the Spirit's book. It talks about earthly affliction, joys. It explains a little bit more, why Earth has, a lot of suffering and things. This. And at this part, this extract of the answer for the question 941, it it, it resume the virtual individual, So characteristics of a virtuous person based on the question. Virtuous individuals, by raising themselves above artificial needs engendered by passions, experience joys unknown to those who seek only pleasure. When we seek, when you say seek pleasure, is the pleasure of material things, you know. For example, why we buy when we buy something, we're so happy we get, that package, we open, so not 2 seconds later, yeah, okay. Why is that? This is the pleasure only, it gives a moment of happiness. But when we raise ourselves above artificial needs, which I know is difficult for everyone, we engender by passions, experience joys unknown, much more unknown, much better than actually the material pleasures. And it's one easy thing, sometimes when you really help someone, and that small thing, the joy, you put a smile on the face of someone that was sad. That joy of putting that smile on their face, is the joy that, for example, perfect spirit experience all the time, because they were able to, raise themselves above any artificial needs. Of course, we are not near there. Earth is not a place, of choice. That's only good prevail. We still, really between, bad and evil prevails and things like this. We are more selfish than selfless, so we are not able to experience this fully. But we do have ways to experience this fully, and the way is anything that's not connected to the material. So everything you buy, everyone knows it doesn't give you happiness. It's a moment of happiness, it's nice, but when you experience this, joy of helping someone, really, really helping someone, not doing this because I have to do, because this is the right thing to do, but really helping them. That happiness is what makes you say, oh, I'm on the right path here. I'm going to the right path, because this is like our target. And again, it's not going to be on this life or next life or the other life. We need to do a lot of transformation, but then it is a tool for you to know, like I said, we have to be aware that we're not perfect. We have to be aware of our passions, and we have to identify as well when we have those kind of joy, those kind of, because we have to repeat them as much as we can. We have now, it's good for us to, focus on that one so we can repeat them again, and when your good, prevail, the darkness or the selfishness, it's distinguish itself, So that's in Spiritism. Bring that to you because it invites you to look at your inside, ourselves, analyze, um, look, be aware of the acts you do, even a simple one, the fake, the fake news that comes to you, but you really, uh, how do you say, you really connects with that. Oh man, that must be true, because it touches your heart. But then you, oh wait, I have to think about. I know that there's algorithms and everything that it's bringing me. So there is something. That's the reason why this one, you know. And so this is all always, a self-development path where you always, looking into. We are always looking to ourselves, analyzing, you know, being aware, identifying what is good, what's not, so we can repeat the good things and leave. This is, I don't want to do this again because I know that was the consequences. I wasn't happy, the person wasn't happy, I don't want to do that again. So that's how we evolved, and we train ourselves. And it's not easy, because sometimes we forget, and then even, not just in the past life we forget in this life as well. And so it happens again, and then, oh, I did that again. Okay, let's go. So we get up and we keep swimming, you know. But it's always, and it's not a suffering. Don't take this like, oh, I'm suffering. It's no, it's not. This is, you become better for yourself. You become happier. You become, you're gonna experience joy, the real joy, not, the instant pleasure, a real joy. And that's when we're gonna be really, 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 really happy all the time. It's when we're perfect, but we're far away from that. So not to worry. So I'd like to end with this one. It's Spirit's book again, The Moral Laws. When it is well understood and permeates customs and beliefs, Spiritism will transform habits, practices, and social relations. It's just wrapping up, when, and it's not just for Spiritism. When we truly understand Christianism, Muslim, Judaism, Buddhism, and everything, when we truly understand, again with that reason of faith, not blind faith, uh, and permeates customs and beliefs, have a reason for that or not, it will transform habits, practice, and social relations. We're gonna relate better with our, next one, our family, our friends, our spouses, our partners, our children. We're gonna transform just a little bit, on our bubble, you know. But this is transforming us as well, transforming in making a better version of ourselves. So in Spiritism says of the, at that part, it's it's you against you and God. You always competing to be a better version of yourself. So you're competing with yourself in that questions, it's not the order. Your personal development, it's only up to you, and using the tools it's given to reincarnation, living society, all this will help you go. It's not going to be an easy path. It's not going to be a joy. It's going to be a lot of rocks, a lot of obstacles, you know, but we have to keep swimming to go and get better because we want to experience this joy, this real happiness, not just, instant happiness. So that's all for me today. Um, I'm going to, that's the bibliography. So we talked about Matthews. Leon Dennis, this was 2015 symposium where they brought a lot of writings from Leon Dennis. The Spirit Spoke, Part 3, Part 4, and Unification from Bezerra de Menezes. Bezerra de Menezes was one a spiritist. Was a doctor. No, he wasn't a spiritist. He was a, yeah, and really known in Brazil. So if you want to go on the internet, but Bezerra de Menezes, you're gonna know more about him if you want to. And just finishing, all our activities are now on Facebook Live and Facebook page. So we have public meetings every Sunday from 11:15 to 12:15 p.m., which is today. I'm just on time. We have talk show every Tuesday and Thursday. We bring discussions. We bring spiritists all around the world to actually, bring a theme and discuss a subject and discuss. And Wednesday, if you want to do on a study group, it's via Zoom meeting. It's open to everyone. You just need to send an email, spiritismireland@gmail.com. So with that, I'm gonna do a final prayer. So just gonna say thank you here. And if you want to raise your thoughts now, let's gonna sit comfortably. And keep elevating our thoughts to Jesus, to the spiritual mentors, to God. Let's take a moment to feel this blessing, this energy that our guardians are passing to us. And thank for the day. Ask for a good week of blessings, tranquility. Thank you all for being here. Thank the spiritual guardians for being here with us. So be it. So have a nice Sunday and God be with you. Thank you very much.